Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Mindset Monday. This is your chance to get inside the head of an 8 and even 9 figure entrepreneur, someone who's exited several companies, someone who's really mastered the game of real estate, and someone that comes back to share it. If you are an entrepreneur or you're an investor on your journey right now, this is an episode you don't want to miss. Chris is going to come in and break this down live for us. So, with that said, Mr. Bruce Buffer, can you bring him up?
And now, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Presenting the master of the real estate deal and entrepreneur champion of the world, Chris, the negotiator Levin.
I love that intro. I chuckle every time. Um, and it's so funny because that seems like a very ego-driven thing, and for me, it's just an amusement. But what I want to talk to you about is getting away from that, right? And really, the topic I want to talk about today is when it's about you, it's never enough. When it's not, it's always enough. I want to give you a simple principle, not just for business, but for living a full life. Took me decades, couple failed first acts, and a near-death experience to learn it. But when it's about you, it's never enough. When it's not about you, it always seems to be enough. Let me explain to you how I found it. In my first life, I chased all the wrong stuff, man. You know, money, jewelry, nice cars, cash, crazy life. And I'll never forget, I made that first exit. By today's standards, it wasn't a lot, but to me at the time, it was huge, right? And um, and I'll never forget there was a lot of work and effort. And I'll never forget the day I closed. I wasn't happy. I had all this money and I had everything going for me, but I was like, what now? And that was just so unfulfilling. Um, like when you start pursuing the materialistic things, like start climbing that ladder, every rung just feels like the same. First it's up here and now it's down here, and it's never enough. When it's the same cycle, and it's the same cycle over and over again. I want this, I got that, now I want more. That's just broken. That's just really broken. And I'm here to tell you, like, I'll never forget when it stopped being about me. I stopped needing the next thing, right? And for me, everybody who knows me knows that I trust on my faith in God for everything. But and I talk about that a lot, but I don't want it to come across as like, God struck me and boom, I was this new amazing person all of a sudden. That's not the case for me. It was a very long process, long, slow process sometimes, but it was something that I committed to working on. And I, I, I'll never forget after that first deal, I went and started building a second deal. And I felt like I'm doing this all over again. And it's like the same thing all over again. Am I going to live like a rat on a wheel? And then a very peculiar thing happened. And this is going to sound so ridiculously simple that everybody's going to say, duh. A friend of mine invited me to go and feed the homeless. And I did. And I didn't just feed the homeless, I sat down and ate with them. And when I sat down and ate with them, I started talking to these people. And, like, I don't want to say a voice hit me. That's not true. A feeling, a nudge, a push came over me. And basically, that voice said to me, these are your brothers and sisters. And if you know my story, you know I don't have a very good family. And when that voice came over me and I was nudged in that direction, something changed. Not a lot, but just a little bit. Changed enough so that I went back there and fed him 2 weeks later and started talking to him and getting to know him. And then I kept doing it. And as I kept doing it, I started realizing that I could have a bigger impact. And that bigger impact could come from my business. And I really and truly prayed about it. And I asked God in the business I was in at the time, what is the purpose of this business? And I remember God telling me, the purpose of your business is the same purpose as everything else. And I wondered on that for a while, but I finally came to know that what God was telling me is that it's all for His glory. So slowly but surely, I started giving more. And I'm here to tell you that giving more, from that point on, God has always looked out for me financially. Now He's taking me down through some trails that weren't always so comfortable. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that the minute I surrendered to the fact that it wasn't about me, it was for God's purpose, and it was for a bigger purpose, it was for other people that I didn't even know, um, it all of a sudden became easier, right? Because now I was responsible for the work and God was responsible for the result. And B, it became less of a burden because I was doing it all for God. And it was so fulfilling. I could go to sleep at night and I was suddenly not chasing things the next day. What I was chasing was to be a better person today than I was yesterday. So the more I did for other people, the more that I got. And I know that sounds insane, but that's the reality of my life. You know, this is going to sound arrogant and it chokes me up. But there was a time in my life where I was giving away so much money, I was convinced that I couldn't give it away fast enough. And I challenged God. I said, God, if I'm really on the right path, and don't don't do this. Don't do this. Challenged God and said, God, if this is truly what I'm supposed to be doing, make it so that I can't give away all my money. And every time I gave more and more showed up. Gave more and more showed up. Gave more and more showed up. It was an unbelievable experience. But because I was serving God's purpose, and because the purpose of my business, and because the purpose of my being became one of being a servant and doing God's will for my life, it's amazing how fulfilling I am. There have been situations where I've had nothing in my checking account. And in my previous life, that would have devastated me. But since I found this path that I'm on today, it doesn't bother me. Because at the end of the day, it's all God's money. I pray for God to tell me what to do every day, and I do it. And He always seems to keep refilling the coffers. So, just believing more. That's everything to me nowadays. If I'm not having a positive impact in the world, and if we're not doing the next right thing, if we're not showing people that God truly loves them, then we're just doing something wrong. So I'm going to ask you to dig deep down inside and find out why you're doing this. Because if you're doing this to make the world a better place, and don't get me wrong, like listen, God, I've got indulgences that I don't deserve. But if deep down inside, if your heart is to make the world a better place, then I think that no matter what you do, you can't be stopped. I believe that. And if you pray for God's guidance in your life on a daily basis, I think that that will be revealed to you time and time again. You know, it's funny because Ecclesiastes 5:10, whoever loves money never has enough. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. So pour into something today that can't pay you back. Pour into something today selflessly, and look how much you're paid back. God bless you all. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. You got time for questions?
Absolutely.
All right, guys, this is your chance. Go ahead, throw your question in the chat. I will not read your name out, but I'll read your question out loud. That way there it will come anonymous to Chris. So if you've got a question, go ahead, put it in the chat right now. Chris, this is carryover from last week, and I want to make sure we get it answered. And this person's asking about a real estate question, and
Yep.
it's about buying and developing land. Would you consider bring any kind of land ground up development right now?
Not right now. It's just way too risky for us. I mean, there's a lot of people willing to take that risk, but our business models, we answer to investors. And we basically, the premise of our business is to provide safe deals that appreciate in value and grow slow and steady so that we minimize the risk to our investors at every turn. We believe in being real good stewards, but I also believe in the gift of the talents, right? Where we don't want to be the servant that buries the talent in the backyard and doesn't make anything. We want to at least double our talents at every turn. So I have to say no to that just because it's outside of my area of expertise. Now, at some point in the very near future, I will use my own money, and as a matter of fact, I'm involved in a transaction right now to hopefully make this come to fruition much sooner. I want to build out west a tiny home community or a pre-built home community to bring some affordable housing to some people that need it and don't currently have it, and to set up a business model to bring some money back to investors that buy into each one of those properties individually. But from a business standpoint, from a company standpoint, it's not something that I'm equipped to do today.
Chris, your next one is, what if life makes it hard to believe anymore?
Scripture tells me to find joy in all things. Listen, I'm going to share a little bit. My life story is such that as a very young child, I was extremely abused. Later on in life, I lost one child as a result of my ex-wife's drug addiction. Then later on, lost two additional children and a person I was deeply and passionately in love with to a drunk driver. And all of those things could be spiritually crippling. But I'm here to tell you, as a result of the abuse, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse as a child, and those losses, I'm able to relate to people in a way that only somebody that's gone through those type of situations can. And if you knew me at all, you know I spend a lot of my time mentoring and helping people get back into society and deal with either drug addiction or prison or just falling off the edge of the earth because of tragedies like I just spoke of. But because God blessed me with those experiences, and yes, I said blessed me with those experiences, they're amazing tools to help change people's lives. And the joy that I get from watching somebody going from being despondent and drawn down and wrecked over life is unbelievable when their life gets back on track. But let me tell you, you can never a dead person doesn't come back, right? You lose children, they don't come back. So what does that look like when the light comes back on? Well, faith is restored in those people, right? And so because I've been through all those things, I know they're powerful tools to help other people. And my heart is such to help other people. And just like I talked about today, sometimes our struggles are not about us, they're about somebody else's salvation. So if you can focus on whatever goes on in your life and be grateful for it, knowing that God is shaping you, molding you, doing something with you to have a greater impact in the world, it gives you the strength and the courage and the hope to walk through those things and continue to find faith, right? Continue to know that God exists. Because I'm here to tell you, there's been times where I walked away from God, but God has never walked away from me.
Chris, your next one, do you ever buy businesses to be a tenant in your multifamily properties to boost the return?
Say that. Do I ever buy businesses?
Yeah. Do you ever buy businesses to be a tenant inside your multifamily properties to boost the return?
Not yet, but if to boost the return to do something shady, no. But I would, buy a business that would, either coexist with a multifamily that would help our investors, or there have been circumstances like the building that I'm in right now. We literally tried to buy the building and then rent from ourselves. I mean, if that's what you mean, um, yeah, under those circumstances. But I would never do anything to skew the numbers or to make things look, to make things look favorable in a way that they weren't. But yeah, I have nothing against buying a business and housing it inside one of our own properties.
Next one, how do you find that purpose when you're struggling?
Hmm. Listen, I'm here to tell you the most powerful motivator for me, and the thing that chokes me up more than anything else, is gratitude. Because I don't know about you, but my faith system and my belief system tells me that the miracle has already happened in my life. Like, miracles already happened, right? I'm a guy that lost children, and God gave up his only son to hang on a cross to save me from eternal damnation. I can find gratitude in that in any moment, in any day, no matter what's going on, no matter how bad things have gotten. That's what works for me.
Chris, your next one is, would multi-unit foreclosures be consideration to invest in?
Yes, absolutely. We generally we have this whole thing that we talk about. It's called the blacklist, where we try to jump in right before that happens. But even as that process starts happening, and I'm here to tell you that there's not a lot of foreclosures going on, because when a bank uses the term foreclosure, it has financial implications to them that are very negative. What they do now is they do special servicing. Basically, they come in and they take over and operate the property, try to get it back to where it needs to be, and sell it for the best possible price to get the most profit. So not a lot of foreclosures are really happening. That special servicing deal is going on a lot. And we always try to jump in there. We're aligned with several lenders right now who know our reputation and who will come to us with deals and say, hey, you're interested, right before things go to foreclosure. Because at foreclosure, it puts the bank in a very bad situation, because they actually have to hold 7 times the value of the loan in liquid cash. And that's, on a $100 million loan, that's $700 million. So they'll go in there, operate it, get it operating well, and then sell it.
Your next one, how can one tell when God is speaking versus just our minds or our personal desires or the enemy?
This is my biggest struggle. Oh my gosh. So one thing that I can tell you for sure is when I know it's God's word, when it's God speaking to me, I'm an absolutely obedient servant. Boom. But quite often, I got to be careful that it's not Chris, that's convincing Chris of what to do. But I'm here to tell you, historically, at the end of the day, I pray about it, pray about it, pray about it, on a daily basis. And usually, when it benefits me, it's Chris's head. And when it benefits the world, it's God speaking to me. And again, here to tell you that quite often God allows me indulgences. Like, anybody that knows me knows that I have a beautiful life materialistically, but more amazingly is I have a beautiful life with regards to my relationships, people around me, and the people that love me, and the people that I love. So if I'm praying for that brand new Mercedes and I'm convinced that I'm getting to go ahead to buy it, it's likely me. If I'm praying about buying a property to help enrich the families inside of it, and I'm being told yes, that's likely God. At the end of the day, I know, deep down inside, I know.
Grace, I'm going to hold the rest of the questions for next week, but you got comments in here. People want to invest in your project. So number one, they're another one saying thank you for everything that you do. You got another one saying I'm so sorry for your loss. You got a lot of people chatting right now, Chris.
Awesome.
But is there anything that you want to close up with today?
And listen, I want to close up with exactly what I feel and what I think, and that's this. Like, I have been saved, and I just don't mean I've been reborn in Christ. I mean that I've been saved from behind a dumpster, dying in a pool of my own blood, to the life that I have today, which is absolutely amazing. I got people around me that love me. I've got friends. I've got relationships. I've got responsibilities, and I'm useful and whole. And if, and I know one thing for a fact: God doesn't love me any more than He loves you, and He doesn't love you any more than He loves me. So if this is what He'll do for me, I'm certain it's what He'll do for you. Remember that. Seek God's will for your life. Do your best to follow it. And the miracles will surely happen. God bless and thank you.